Excuse me. How's it going, guys? You all right? Yeah, but I've been sick. Excuse me. I ain't been too well for the last 3 or 4 days. I think I might have COVID. I'm not 100% sure. But in all honesty, it's not that bad. I've had much worse flus, and I think I'm coming to the end of it now. So I wanted to try and do something today, do a live stream because there's only so much laying down in bed and taking medicine and watching films that I can do. I want to get ahead with my business and continue to help as many men as I can to get over their social anxiety, their fear, and to build their confidence so they can achieve their goals in their personal life. So I'm looking forward to coming on today. Hopefully, I can fight through the flu and do a good live stream. Let's see. I'll do the best I can. That's all you can do. But like I said in my post that I did, I've learned to turn negative situations into positive. Sorry, just through experience. I think you get to a point in life, like I can't speak for everyone, but where you just refuse to let things get you down. That would usually get you down. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world having a flu. Or like I said, I'm not a doctor, so don't know for sure. But it could be COVID. It could just be a flu. But I've had this type of thing before, and it usually goes within several days. I want to join the Zoom call. Can you please drop it in the chat? Can't do that, mate, on this. This ain't a Zoom call. Sorry about that. I'll have to get the technology. I'm glad you have reminded me of that because I want to start doing that on the streams. I think there's a certain no, I'm not vaccinated. I'm not getting vaccinated. For me, that doesn't work for me. Nothing against people that are. I've got friends and family that are, and friends and family that are not. It probably isn't COVID, but that's the thing today. As soon as you say you've got a flu, everyone assumes it's COVID. So that's why I kind of just said it could be, because if I don't say that, everyone's going to be like, you've got COVID, and it could be, but like I said, it ain't that bad. Like the fact that I'm able to speak now and get out of bed means I'm a lot better than I was. The worst day I had, I'll tell you what happened. Wednesday night, I was going to bed. I felt fine. All of a sudden, my throat started to feel funny. I thought, what's this? Maybe a sore throat. So I just went to bed, got up in the morning, had a shower, went gym. I didn't feel right. I felt weak. I felt a bit cold, but I thought maybe I'm just imagining it, Sometimes I can be a bit of a hypochondriac. And then I went for a walk in London, and usually I love walking. I can walk for hours. I really wasn't enjoying the walk. I just wanted to get home. I felt stressed. And then when I got to Oxford Street, I got near home, I felt ill. I just was freezing cold, hot. And then that night, my head was exploding. But yesterday was slightly better. Today's better. I reckon I'm going to be better by Monday, but we'll have to see. Anyway, enough about my flu. This talk today is about how to be social when you've got social anxiety, how to be more social. Let's see how many people come on the stream. Yeah, I mean, we don't know it's COVID for sure. We can't just say we're not doctors, so I can't diagnose myself as having COVID because flu's been around for years, and I had a very similar thing to this about 3 years ago, and it went within 4 days. And this one feels exactly the same, to be honest. I feel a lot better now. I'm getting my strength back, and a few days ago I couldn't speak. I couldn't get out of bed. So I'm not really worried if either way if it is or not. As long as I get better. Right, back to topic. So how do you be? See, it's a tricky one because when you got social anxiety, it makes you not want to socialize, because socializing is tricky, and it can be very difficult, and it can be unpleasant, and it can be quite awkward. But this is what I've learned. So in no chronological order, first thing you've got to do is you have to have a goal. Like you even like the goal, it doesn't, so the goal could be, for example, to get a girlfriend, right? So let me just paraphrase. So I want to overcome my social anxiety so I can get a girlfriend. That's just an example, right, of what you need. Another one could be you want to start your own business. These were all true for me at one point in time. So obviously, to start most businesses, you're going to have to come in contact with people. You're going to have to speak to clients or followers at some point, or to make friends, or to be a public speaker, or to travel the world more. So having a goal is important because the goal gives you the motivation to go and face your social anxiety. The second one, I believe, this isn't always easy as well, but you can do it, is socializing with like-minded people. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more fun if you're speaking to people that you've got the same thing in common with. If you've got like a common interest. So let's say, for example, most people on this channel are interested in building their confidence and and getting past their shyness. So if you were around a group of people like that, it would be slightly easier because you've got something in common that you're interested in. Or, for example, a group of people that are interested in boxing or diet or exercise. So that's really important. And I always say, the way that you find these people is by finding a community. And effectively, you've done that today by coming onto my live stream, and usually, hopefully, the stream will pick up. Usually we get quite a few people in the stream. So these are all things that are gonna motivate you to want to be social. And like I said, a lot of it is about getting comfortable around people that you like, that you can be yourself with, that you can talk about things that interest you and the other person. So that really helps. Another thing which is important, I feel, is improving your lifestyle. Like I said, fit body, fit mind. So if you're dieting, if you've got a good diet or a pretty decent diet, and you're fit and you exercise regularly, just those two things are going to help you to be more social, because it's hard for people, especially a lot of clients that I work with initially. That's why they come and do my coaching on the 6 weeks confidence program or a weekend program or a single session over Zoom. They're finding it hard to go and socialize with people because they don't feel good. They're depressed, or they're down, or they're not, things are not going their way. So going to the gym and working out rejuvenates your energy. It changes your mood, makes you feel good about yourself, and then it gives you that spring in your step. It makes it a lot easier. So if you can do things in your life that make you feel good now, when you go into social situations and you speak to people, it's going to be a lot easier, as opposed to if you're not doing these lifestyle changes, it's going to be a lot harder. Now, moving on to the next thing, there's many important things, but momentum, I've said this in my videos many times, and all my clients realize this. Momentum is what overcomes social anxiety. Okay, that's good, but the only thing that concerns me when people say that they're doing mindfulness and being present, you've still got to go and socialize, right? You can't just, I'm not saying that particularly talking to you, but just in general, you can't just sit at home and do mindfulness and be present. That's not going to take away your social anxiety. It just isn't. You've got to go out and push yourself. So we can't, come up with other things that are going to remove fear, because it doesn't work like that. You only really remove fear, you reduce it by going into the fear. Hopefully you're doing both. If you're just using the mindfulness as a bit of a supplement, a bit of an extra, you know, to practice focusing more and being more in your body, then that's pretty good. But the socializing bit is the most important. If that's not being done, then you're not going to get anywhere with it, not very far. So the momentum is basically socializing a lot without taking long breaks. An example of that would be every single week you go to a meetup group, or every month. So let's say, for argument's sake, you come to my Fearless event for 1 year. It runs once a month. That's 12 in a month. That's a lot of momentum. And then in between that, maybe you're going on a date every so often, or you're meeting up with friends every week. So the more you socialize, the more momentum gets built, and that momentum, it's like having an extra set of hands helping you, if that makes sense. Like having a superpower, like Superman or Spider-Man. Maybe not a great analogy, but it's like you've got an extra bit of strength, because at the start you don't really feel the benefits because you haven't built up enough momentum. And obviously momentum is not something visible. It's not something that, like, I can't look at a person and go, he's got momentum or he hasn't. It's something internally, through your memory, muscle memory, through experience, through strengthening your mental toughness, and through practice. So the more regularly you socialize, the more momentum that's going to get built, i.e., the more confidence you're going to gain, the less social phobia that you're going to experience. But as I said before, a lot of people make the mistake of not building enough momentum. So they might socialize a little bit and then they stop again for long periods of time. And they socialize a little bit and then they stop again. And you're not going to get over it like that. It's got to be the other way around. You've got to be a lot of socializing, a little bit of a break now and then, a lot of socializing. And that's the secret to it. That's what I figured out on my life experiences. And then with teaching, I've worked with, man, I don't know what the number is, but it's a hell of a lot of clients over the years. Oh, sorry, I'm just multitasking. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat. Yeah, the mindset as well has to change. You have to accept being uncomfortable. You have to really accept that, as part of the confidence building process. You can't have it. You can't have it in a sense of thinking that you're going to learn some little trick from a guru, or you're going to go online, or you're going to read something in a book, and then all of a sudden it's just going to take away all your social fears, and you're just going to be this confident person. It doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. It's the opposite. You've got to get uncomfortable. You've got to go through many awkward moments. You've got to go through a lot of anxiety, and then that's how you really gain confidence. And it's something that takes time, like I said, which is why I tend to work with people anything from 6 weeks up to 12 weeks, up to 3 months, in some cases a year. So, you really want to work it. I'd say for most of you, it's going to take you about a year, maybe longer, depending on if you've got a coach or not, maybe 2 years to overcome your social anxiety of regular practice. But like I always say, you can't treat it like a part-time job and expect to get full-time results. You got to treat getting over your social anxiety as a full-time job. Okay, well, if that works for you, great. But when you say mindfulness, what do you mean by that? Like it's I don't know. To me, that can sound a bit wishy-washy. It's like you can't. I mean, you can't sit with people and meditate. They're going to think you're strange. I mean, meditating, that's fine. If you do meditation on its own or in a class, I could appreciate that, right? Each to their own. But when you're with a group of people, normal people, from every day, like a job interview or a date or just friends, you can't really sit there, can you, and go, you can't really, it's not really appropriate. If you did that, people are going to think you're strange. So when you say mindfulness in social situations, I'm a bit concerned. Like, how's that working? How is that going to be congruent socially? I'm not having a go at you. I'm just being honest, trying to help people. Because I see a lot of people, I've said this before, people like using traditional terms and words to get out of the real truth, which is to face their fear. It almost feels sometimes for people they can't admit that it's too honest, so they have to come up with something else. Like I said before, a lot of guys hide behind nofap when I think nofap's got some. It's good. It's good that it encourages not to watch porn, not to masturbate, but you can't just do nofap and then not go out and socialize with people and expect to have an amazing life. We can't leave out the most important part in this area. Just be yourself, man, in the gym. Just be yourself. Don't be insecure. Don't follow the crowd. Just be you. Just be kind. Just be relaxed. Just enjoy your workout. That's it. Okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough. I understand what you mean now. Okay. I just wanted to clear that up, you know. I'm glad you appreciated me being frank. Then in that case, that's great that you do that. By mindfulness, you mean clearing your mind of thoughts, focusing on what is happening in front of me as things play out. That's actually very good. Yes, okay. Okay, that's good. That's good. That makes sense. Yes, you can be mindful when you're in social situations and not listen to negative thoughts that might come up and arise, and practice being in the moment, focused. See, that's the thing today. Some people use different words and it can get lost. Sometimes I get lost in translation. I like to just kind of simplify things so everybody can understand it. That's all right. Everybody's got their own way of explaining things. That's why I go over the teachings a lot, because sometimes people won't always understand some of the terminologies that I used. It won't mean anything to them. Like if I said take an action, some people won't understand what that means. That won't mean anything to them, where a lot of you will get that. Yeah, be present's become like a cliche now. It's become like it's a famous word that everyone uses, which is fair enough. But being focused and being engaged and concentrating, and basically, really, right, all these fancy words, the real word is, well, let's say they're all different, is being relaxed. That's what everyone wants, right? Be honest in the box below. Everybody wants to be relaxed in social situations, because when you're relaxed, you feel good, you feel safe. And when you're anxious, you feel in danger, you feel unsafe. And that's not a pleasant feeling for the most part, unless you develop mental and emotional toughness and discipline to handle those feelings. But what I definitely know to be true is the more momentum you build, the more you socialize without taking those long breaks away from people, you get really good quick. That's how I got really good quick at a certain point. I got so sick and tired of sitting and waiting around for someone to change my life and my depression to go, and all my insecurities. And I had a lot of insecurities pretty much in every area of my life. I decided to act, and I went out and faced all my social fears. I did public speaking. I went on so many first dates. I went to job interviews. I eventually started my own business. I started doing my own public talks. Before I done public speaking, I went to other events. I learned from other people, and all those things were a way of me facing my social anxiety. I don't know though, man. But how do you know that? How do you know that your brain starts working suboptimally, like not understanding social cues? I'm fascinated with that. Yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm not really a fan of that book. I'm not. I had a read of it years ago. I went for a stage of trying to get into it, but personally, for me, a lot of people are not going to agree with me, and I don't really care. But I don't really like that book. I think the teaching is overrated. Personally, for me, I think just being present is not enough. There's a lot more in life that you've got to do in order to be happy. But being present, definitely there's definitely value in that. I'm not saying there's not value. I'm not saying being present is bad. I'm just saying that the book, in my opinion, is overhyped. It's overmarketed, and it's not original. It was. I'm sure Jesus said that in the Bible. Eckhart Tolle is not the first person to come up with that, but he's just marketed it well and sold it in a different way. But you know, that goes back to the Bible, and Jesus spoke about that. But in the modern world that we live in today, there's a lot more you need to do than just be present. Sometimes being present isn't healthy, especially I don't think for young children. I think sometimes, like, when you're a kid, being present could be really painful. That's why you wanted to go out with your friends and play football or watch movies or spend time with family, because there were certain fears and, imaginary phobias and fears that you didn't really want to think about. So sometimes in the present, those things come in to your psyche. So I don't think it's healthy to be present every second of every day. I really don't. But I think it is good to be present. You know, um, you know, it's probably good to be present most of the time. But you have to do more. I think some people are a bit naive. They think that all they've got to do is be present, and all their life problems will be solved. And I don't think that's the case. There's a lot more you got to develop. Just got to stop overthinking and just do what you can in the moment. This is regarding your question about not knowing what to say to a friend at the gym. I've now got World War III anxiety now as well. If it came to that, ironically, our social anxiety would diminish rapidly. That's interesting. What's brought that on? Is that what's going on at the moment with Russia and Ukraine? Yeah, yeah. I know that the book obviously it originates, it's influenced by Buddhism and that. But what I'm saying is Jesus spoke about. I don't correct me, right? Because I don't know the exact text, but I know enough to know that Jesus spoke about, not worrying about tomorrow and being present today. And there were many teachers before, or there were a few teachers before Eckhart Tolle, scholars or spirit teachers, whatever you call it, saints, who said all this. So he's not saying anything new. He's just packaging it in a different name. There's a teacher. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it, right? Do you know what? Each to their own, right? If people want to follow that, that's their choice. Good luck to people, whatever works for them. But I'm going to stick to what I'm an expert at and what I know, and that's helping people to get past anxiety and build confidence and become successful. This is my area of expertise, so I'll stick to that. Okay. Yeah, I can understand your anxieties. I think there's always that threat, isn't there? Let's be honest. Since we've been here, there's no one wants it to happen, and I definitely don't want anything to happen. But there's always a possibility that wars can happen because we've seen them come and go throughout our lifespan. But you know what? I don't want to get too heavy into politics because that's not what my channel is, and that's not my area of expertise. But I know it's going to be hard for people not to mention it because of obviously what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, which is really unfortunate. But I just want to kind of stay on positives. But of course, people can get out what they need to get out, and I can appreciate your anxiety. Um, I've definitely been through that myself. I'm not really worried about that at the moment, but it is a norm. It can arise. It can come up when you're overthinking. Anyway, just to lighten the subject, is anybody going to watch the boxing tonight? You've got Josh Taylor against Jack Catterall. He's an excellent fighter, Josh Taylor. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I do, my friend. Is to instill confidence in people. That's my gift. That's why I try not to speak too much on topics that I'm not qualified to speak about. Obviously, everyone can have their opinion, but yeah. I mean, I can't see Taylor not winning, right? You never know, though. But I just feel like I don't know enough about Jack Catterall, but I know how good Taylor is. But you never know, right? It's boxing. I mean, we've got the Fury Dillian White fight. Looking forward to that. Yeah, listen, man. Let me just say this because it's a bit awkward, right? See, it's hard because in my mind, you know that there's a war going on with Russia and Ukraine. I'm sitting here doing a live stream. I'm trying to help people to get past social anxiety. It's not something that I really want to speak about because it's an uncomfortable subject. I'm not qualified. It's really sensitive. But at the same time, I feel like if I don't mention it, I'm gonna, I'm gonna feel guilty. I am human for not sort of saying my condolences. So let me just say this. I mean, it's not going to change everything. Hopefully, I can. Let's just say a prayer. Please, God, please, the Lord can fix or stop this war going on any further with Russia and Ukraine because it is really sad and it is especially in the times we're in now. I thought we'd, you know, without sounding naive, I thought we'd become a little bit more civilized after all these wars. They don't, they no, like I think like what Klitschko said, no one comes out winning in the end. It's like don't want to see people getting killed. It's just really tragic after what we've been through. All the COVID, we got through that, and so please God, you know what I mean, do what you can because I feel powerless. Really, all I can say is my condolences and pray that no one's going to get harmed and it will just get sorted out. Are there concrete steps in facing fear? I don't understand beyond letting the experience continue. Can you explain that a bit? I didn't really understand your question. Sorry there, Wooden. Really, are there concrete steps in facing it? Absolutely. For that part, yeah, they're concrete steps. I've been teaching that for years. And, I would say, see, when you say steps, that's more than one. Really, there's only one step to facing fear without sounding patronizing, which I'm not being, and oversimplifying it. There's only one step to fear, and that's to face it. In most cases, right? When we're talking about the human fears that we have, relationship fears, talking to other people, starting businesses, selling, making money, getting in shape, going to a job interview, going on a date, doing a public talk. It's one step. It's facing it, going into it, and then, communicating. Yeah, those guys were great ambassadors of the sport. I always liked the Klitschko's. Always did. They're good champions, and Being in control versus not being in control when in fear. I think you got to learn to do both. Good point. I think for the most part, you've got to do the best you can to control your fear whilst being in it. That's something that you've really got to learn. You've got to fight. We've all got to do that if we want to survive. But there are going to be moments where you're going to be out of control. And although those moments don't feel good, that's where you're going to grow. So it's a bit of both. Um, but yeah, you only master fear by facing it. Pretty much anything. You only get good at things by doing it. That's why I really like to cut the bullshit when people start coming up with fancy strategies that kind of convince them that they're going to opt out of facing the real truth when you can't. Yeah, I can understand that there's a lot of fear. But listen, man, this is what I've learned, right? This is what I've learned. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, I haven't. But in times of danger and in times of war, it's not easy. But if you want to be a better person, you have to try and stay calm. If you don't stay calm and you start panicking, and my father taught me this, and you lose your head, you lose your mind, you're not going to survive. And you're going to make other people around you stressed, and you're going to traumatize people. So obviously, we all have fear. These things can bring up anxiety, but um, you got to try and find some strength within you to relax. Otherwise, you ain't going to make it. You're going to drive yourself crazy. But I understand today, man. The world's up in arms. 1 minute we've got this virus. Now we've got wars going on. It's a tough world to live in for people. It is tough for all of us. It's not an easy place to live in at times, but you just got to try. Yeah, that's a good. It's always good to try and turn negative into a positive. I think. See, for me, I just don't watch the news too much, but I know a lot of people are gonna watch it. They're just too tempted. They have to click on it because I find that with the news they tend to exaggerate everything. I'm not saying that the war's not bad. What's going on is bad. War's never good. It's never the solution in my opinion. But in any pandemic or wars, the media love to drive everybody mad, make people so afraid, and making people mentally sick. So I just really reduce the amount of my time I spend watching it. Yeah, there's been a lot of wars, hasn't there, since most of us have been alive. How old are all of you lot? Are you guys in your 30s, 20s? How old are you lot? 28. Okay, you're young then. 31. I thought you was around, yeah, late 20s, 30, early 30s. 30. Pretty young, still pretty young. Well, that's the main gist of what I was hoping to teach today is that the way that people be social, guys that have got social anxiety, the way they can be social is by finding people that they feel comfortable with. Oh, you're 48. Oh, cool. So that helps a lot. It really does. Without stating the obvious, if you can speak to one person. Sorry, guys, I'm a little bit rusty today because, as I said, I've been sick for the last. This is the fourth day now. So I think I'm doing pretty good, but my speaking is a little bit like my brain's not working as sharp as it usually would because I'm still getting over this flu. But I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. 42. Okay, cool. Yeah, pretty much am, right? Something like that. Confidence coach, counselor, kind of similar. But yeah, if you can, talk to people regularly and just make a habit. Anyone who's watching this at the moment that's struggling with social anxiety, just try to keep making a habit. Excuse me, coming outside of your social comfort zone and speaking to people. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Excuse me, if you do something hard, like regularly, over time, it gets easier, and then it gets easier and easier, and then it's not that hard anymore. And then you can move on to the next chapter of your life or next step and just keep going that way. Yeah, it's a crazy time, man. Like I said, it's what's going on with the world. First, we had 3 years of that pandemic, and now there's like wars. It's madness. Any questions, guys, on social anxiety or building confidence? What other videos would you like me to do on different topics? Didn't know anything about that, to be honest. I can't really speak on that because I don't know any. I don't know anything about that. That's the first I've heard of that. What are your thoughts on men not allowed to move cities in the war situation? Didn't know about that, so I can't speak on that. You know what? I might go live a bit later on, guys, and now do a different topic. This topic's kind of dried up now. I don't have that much to say on it. I kind of said everything now, and I've done so many videos. Like it always feels like a good idea, but sometimes I do this topic, and I can understand. It feels like a lot of people don't really want to talk about it because it probably isn't an easy thing for people to talk about. What do you usually do when you're in a social situation? You start feeling anxious. I just accept it because I'm very experienced of it, and I just control it. I just do the best I can to not panic and just relax and just communicate. So that's what I do. But that obviously took me a lot of practice. That's what I do. I don't really make it a bigger deal than what it is. And as I said, I've faced it so many times that it's nothing new to me. So that comes with experience. But I still feel it like everybody else will feel. But I deal with it differently. Yep, definitely. The breathing definitely helps. That's a good point. Like, just like light breathing, like because when you breathe, you're calming the anxiety down. You're calming it down. Yeah, I will also use another technique now that you've asked, where if I'm feeling that in a situation, I will find a topic to talk about that settles my anxiety and makes me be able to connect with the person that I'm with or anxious with or a group of people. So I'm very good at doing that. Something that I learned. Any of you can do that. So you just get better, you just get used to it over time. The more you do it, the more you just sort of pick it up. See, improving your social skills and getting over social anxiety is a very practical thing, which is why sometimes it's very difficult for me to explain it on a live stream. I do it as best as I can. But when I coach people and take them out and help them to speak to people, it's a lot easier for me to teach it because they're in real life, they're practicing talking to other people, and they'll understand what I'm teaching in a matter of, an hour or sometimes 10 minutes. Where on a live stream, it's a bit more challenging. I don't really like the term, cold approaching. I wouldn't say I've done cold approaching. I'll just say that I've, spoke to women. I'm not into that PUA stuff, if that's what you're aiming at. I don't do that. But I speak to women. And yes, I've spoke to lots of women over the years. And the anxiety comes and goes, but I have the confidence from experience. But yeah, of course I get anxiety. It's normal. But I can manage it, especially if I'm talking to someone and I've got a good connection, with the woman I'm speaking to, and she's nice, and we feel relaxed. But like I've said before, everybody feels fear and anxiety socially or in life. It's how you deal with it. You're not going to become completely fear-free. You wouldn't be human, but you can get very good at managing it, dealing with it. So it's really about becoming a manager of your own emotions. That's what I teach people to do in life, whether it's talking to people, dates, job interviews, in life in general. But like I said, it's more of an illusion. Like some people might think that they've got rid of their social anxiety completely because they've been socializing so much in a period of 6 months or a year that it becomes ever. It basically gets to a point where they're not feeling the anxiety anymore, and then they think they've overcome it. But if they was to stop socializing for several months, a couple of months, the anxiety would come back. So that kind of tells you that it's always under the surface, but it's how you manage it, how you reduce it, how much experience you get with dealing with it, how you can breathe, relax, calm it down, all the different things that we've kind of spoken on today. The biggest challenge for people that follow me on YouTube and on my clients is most people know what to do because I've given you the information year in, year out, or you've heard it from somebody else, or you know it intuitively. But people struggle to put it into practice because putting the hours of practicing is a skill in and of itself. It's not easy to do. For me, it's easy, right? I'm not being big-headed when I say that, but it is easy for me because if I'm dedicated to something, I'm so obsessed and passionate. It's not hard for me to not put hours and hours in because I want to succeed. But a lot of people find it hard because putting the hours in means facing the suffering of the emotions that you've got to work through and the time and the effort and the energy. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're not going to get the results. Okay, all right. Another meditator here. All right. But the only question I got with that is, though, okay, you may find some peace when you meditate. And if you do, you're fortunate, great. But meditating alone is not going to get rid of social anxiety, isn't it? Like, the only thing that's going to get rid of it is socializing. We can't replace something for the actual thing you need. So with social anxiety, you have to socialize a lot to get over it. So meditating is a separate thing over here, which isn't really what you need. Unless you meditate before you go into social situations to get a bit more calmness. but then you've still got to go that extra mile and socialize. Does that make my? Do you understand what I'm saying? Which is why I get a little bit passionate when people throw that at me and say, "Well, I meditate. That's how I get over my social anxiety." I'm like, I'm not really going to buy that. I've been teaching for over 10 years. I've faced hundreds of social situations. I've worked through most of the fears. I kind of know what's BS and what works and what doesn't. So I'm a bit skeptical with these new age or practices that kind of can convince a person that they're doing it when they're not really. But, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. All right. All right. I understand. But, again, cold showers and meditating, I'm sure they got benefits, right? And I like the idea of a cold shower to build mental toughness. And, people have sworn that meditation makes them relax. It never worked for me personally. What always works for me is taking action, is facing the fear. Like, I feel like sometimes a lot of you don't appreciate that. You don't, it's because you're scared. You don't want to admit it. So you don't appreciate, that it's just enough to face fear. That's all you need. You don't need meditation, cold showers, this practice, that practice. I mean, you can do those things if they give you extra benefits. I'm not saying don't do them, right? It's your life, your choice. I'm just trying to say the truth that facing the fear is all you need to do, but you need to do that regularly. And that's not easy for people to be accountable to fear. How many of you want to be accountable to your own fears? That's actually a good thing I said today. I'm getting fired up. How many of you in this live stream today really want to be accountable to your fears? I want to see the names, because I certainly do. And I'm trying to help as many of you to get past your fears, because a lot of people, from what I can see, what you're saying, I'm not just talking about people on the stream, but in general, they don't want to be accountable to their fears because because that is challenging by definition. Yeah, but I disagree with that, John, because I had a client, right? I worked with a client recently who was with a therapist. I'm not saying therapy is bad, because I really respect therapists, but in this situation, it's not enough. One of my clients, before he come and done my coaching, was working with a therapist for over a year, and he didn't it helped him to get things out. But when we look at the facts, he said this himself. When he come and done my coaching, he made more progress in 6 weeks than he did with his therapist for a year, because his therapist even said to him, you need to go out and socialize with people. Like, his therapist told him to do my coaching. So I'm just being honest. So therapy is not going to get rid of social anxiety. It's not. Ain't going to work. That didn't work for me. The only thing in the end, you can have all these little things that relax you. It's not going to do it. You have to face your fear. And the problem today is people seem to have a problem with accepting that. People want to challenge. I've got facts here. I've got truth, certainty in what I do. I know works year in, year out. I've done it myself. That's how I changed my life and helped so many people. You have to go out and do exposure therapy. You can't just sit down, because if I just sat down with a therapist and talked about all my problems, then if I don't go out and solve these issues, it's not going to change. So I would say, yes, therapy has its place, definitely. If anyone out there is struggling right now with any mental health or anxiety or suicidal thoughts, please go and get professional help. Speak to therapists. They're really good at that. But at some point, you're going to need a practical approach to get you over so you can build your self-esteem. And just doing therapy on its own isn't going to be enough. And most honest therapists will be honest, and they'll tell you that, as did my client's therapist. And you don't know the amount of clients I work with, so many that have had therapists, but eventually, and I'm not bigging myself up, I'm just being honest, this is what they've said. They've had to come and do my coaching, because my coaching is a practical approach to a problem which requires a practical solution. Yeah, I think therapy is really good when a person is at a stage in their life where they haven't got the strength, they ain't got the strength mentally and emotionally to deal with what they're going through in their life, their challenges or their fears. So having a therapist can help you to take a lot of the stress, the panic, the trauma that you're dealing with, so that you can eventually get yourself into a place where you're stronger. Therefore, you can, go and deal with the things that you need to do. But I'm more the solution. Like when people are at the last point, that's usually when they come to me. Like when they've tried everything and they really need a practical approach. So my therapy is a practical therapy. It's about helping people to take action on their fears, and that's what changes your confidence. Yeah, but my whole take with that is, you really remove limiting beliefs just by talking about them? I don't think you can. In all honesty, you need to disprove them. Like you can't fool the mind if you've got limiting beliefs and barriers, and you just speak about them to a person. They're not going to go away just by doing that. You're going to need more than that to convince your mind that you're better than that, that you can overcome that. So another example is if someone had limiting beliefs around money and making money and they spoke to a therapist, just doing that ain't going to make you make money. What's going to make you make money is learning to sell. Can you see my point here? This is a very delicate debate, which I like. It can get easily lost in translation. So, yes, someone might feel better for an hour or two because they got to speak to a compassionate human being, a therapist, and say, look, I've got this issues with money and I don't think I'm good enough, I can't make money or whatever. And the person says, oh, I feel sorry for you, or in a roundabout way, or don't worry, or you can. Like, that ain't going to translate to making your bank account bigger. Learning to sell and give value and get better at business or marketing and selling is what's going to make you make money. That's my point. Yeah, that's really good. 100%. And that's part of my teaching. Progressive exposure works well. Yep, saying hello to 5 people, got no problem with that. I mean, that's what I teach. That's part of my teaching, as you probably know. Sorry, I missed your question now. I'm lost at places to go or activities to do at 42 years of age, 42 years old, how to meet women. Um, I think in regards to meeting women, you're gonna have to try different dating. Try going out in public, coffee shops, bars, museums, tourist places, things like that, meetups. But I see what you mean. It's quite challenging today, but you can get it if you don't give up. Yeah, but what I mean is, right, if someone sits with a therapist and the therapist says, let's challenge your limiting beliefs. Let's say someone doesn't believe that they could do a public talk because they got anxiety. Just sitting with a therapist and saying, let's challenge that. If you don't go and do a public talk, ain't going to take it away, is it? In my experience, it ain't going to do that. You're going to have to go and do that talk at some point. But yeah, maybe having a therapist to lean on might eventually push you to going and doing that talk. I don't know. What I can speak on is you gain confidence by doing and taking action rather than just speaking. But obviously, communicating is important, like I said. But everyone's got to find, really what works for them. So try it. Try therapy. Any of you, if you've tried it already, or if you haven't, try it. Try confidence coaching. Try what I do. See what works. It might not work for you. find the approach that does work for you. Take my advice, try it, see if it works. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then oh well, it's not the end of the world. Keep looking until you find what does work. Well, the real truth is everybody's scared of confrontation. You're human. I think it would be unnatural if you wasn't scared of that. But some people can deal with it better than others. So I would say socialize more. I don't know how much training you do. Take up martial arts or boxing, and that should help you to lower that fear. But ultimately, everyone's going to have a healthy fear of confrontation. I mean, who really in their right mind, unless you're a bit, a bit sick in the head, who really enjoys having confrontation with people for no reason? I don't think many people enjoy that. Like, let me give you an example. Basically, do you know what? In a way, this is therapy right now, right? I don't call myself a therapist. I'm a confidence coach, but there's a therapeutic element to this, which is okay. Great, you come on the live stream, you get to speak to me, I get to mentor you, you get to ask questions, you get to engage, you get to get things out, but this isn't going to be better than you coming to my Fearless event, because the Fearless event is a social meetup where we meet in person and you get to have conversations with people in person. This is a supplement to that. So that's the same analogy where I was trying to give you a distinction between speaking to a therapist about your social anxiety as opposed to going out and finding the courage within yourself and facing your social anxiety just one step at a time. Facing the fear of people is better than sitting in a therapist chair. So I'm not completely dismissing therapy, because obviously a lot of people say that my live streams help them, but I'm being honest, these are not going to be as helpful as my coaching in person or the Phyllis events in person or the weekend confidence program in person, because you're getting to meet people in person and speak to them, and that gives you a lot of confidence. Do you guys see my point? See, a lot of people, they don't want to get outside their comfort zone, and that's why they're not improving at their anxiety. But there's a lot of people that do get outside of their comfort zone, and they do build up a lot of confidence. And every single client I've ever worked with usually will always come to the same conclusion. It's not my conclusion, it's everyone's. They will say, you know what, all of the theory, reading books, none of it means anything until you take action. Meaning, until you go out and start speaking to people in real life, you're not going to change much as a person. You're not going to grow. You're not going to become more confident. You're definitely not going to become less anxious, because all of the theory is comfortable. Sitting at home watching videos isn't scary. Reading books isn't scary. And it doesn't create the fight or flight response that going out in person and talking to human beings does, which is something that you've got to become accustomed to. You've got to learn to control it. You've got to get more experience with it as a practitioner. So being a practitioner is way more challenging mentally and emotionally and spiritually than being a theorist, or for a better word, learning the theory. Because theory is comfortable, isn't it? Theory is comfortable, it's factual, it's intellectual, but being a practitioner is very uncomfortable. And that's why a lot of people will fight for their argument, even though deep down they know they're wrong. They will fight to say, well, reading books is giving me more growth and confidence than going out and face my fears. And it's like, no, it's not. You're not being honest. You're not being honest. I've tried that. It doesn't work. Or it doesn't work as effectively. I'm not saying you shouldn't read books. What I'm saying is, if you want to read books, then go ahead and read them. And there's nothing wrong with educating yourself. And some people like reading books. That's great. But what I'm saying is, it's very, very bad to read books in hope that these books are going to take away your anxieties and give you confidence, because they're not going to do that alone. You're not going to gain it like that. It has to be earned through suffering, through practical action, through experience, through repetition, through going through the stress, the anxiety, the fight or flight, those emotions, through feeling them, working through them, coming out the other side. That's the only way you're going to gain this confidence. Because if that was the case, I never would have went through all that stress. I would have just sat home read a book and my life would have just changed. It didn't work. And I think a lot of people, when they see these books today, they have expectations that are unrealistic. They really think that I'm just going to read this book and it's going to teach me to be present. I'm going to be present, and then all my problems are going to go away. It's like, it's not that easy, man. But that's what happens when you live in a quick fix generation, predominantly a generation that doesn't really like the truth. It doesn't want to work hard. It doesn't want to face suffering. I'm not talking about like nobody wants to make themselves suffer. I'm not saying that. But the suffering of hard work, of labor, of being industrious, of taking action, of working hard. People don't want that today. Many people don't. So of course, when you start advocating that, people are not going to like it. They're going to be critical, and they want a quick fix. They want you to say 30 minutes to live your dream life. So much crap. It's not true. I think deep down, people know it's not true, but they don't want to see it. You know, if they're naive and they don't want to face the truth, or they don't want the actual practice that you really need to do, even if you don't like it. I don't like some of these truths, but it doesn't change the fact that the truth. I don't like the fact that it's really scary going out and living your dreams. It's hard at times, but that ain't going to change the fact that that's what it is. And the quicker you accept that, the quicker you're going to move forward and get beyond your fears. But you know what? I like the challenge. I like that quite a lot of you challenge me, because, again, if it was just easy, if everybody just agreed with everything I said, then it might be flattering to a certain degree, but there wouldn't be any challenge in it for me. And I'm trying to challenge people to challenge their own, take on things to be better in life. Of course, social confidence comes from being able to handle, conversations which takes practice. Of course, takes a lot of practice. Anyone can get it. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it with practice, honestly. Wow, that was a bit of a tangent you guys made me go on. I got to take a few deep breaths. Oh boy. That's it, man. That's the real truth, man. The truth is never usually what people want to hear. It just isn't. When I started out in all this, I didn't want to hear this either. I didn't want to, like. It's weird. It's weird how the human mind works, because you don't want to hear. You don't want things to be difficult. You want them to be easy. You want them to come quick. And when they don't come quick and they don't come easy, you get depressed, you get down, you get frustrated, you get angry, you get demotivated, you get upset with everything. But you've got two choices from that point. You can wallow in self-pity and stay in that place of weakness, or you can rise above that and say, right, I'm going to have to adjust to the level of difficulty that I'm up against by strengthening my mind, my body, my spirit, and my soul, and doing the best I can and changing my mindset. And then it will get easier. I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing great, actually. How are you doing? Student. By the way, I've got my, let me write this down. I've got my next March, in capital letters, upcoming Fearless social event on March the 13th. If anybody wants to come along, you're welcome to come along. It's in London. It's a social meetup for guys that want to improve confidence, lower social anxiety, and connect with like-minded people, set goals, be accountable to those goals, and become successful. You're welcome. 100%. Confidence does come from experience, absolutely, which comes from practice. Yes, that's right. Now, obviously, confidence also comes from success as well. You know, you get the more success that you experience, the more your confidence goes up. But to contradict that, confidence can also later on come from handling failure, dealing with it, changing your attitude from a negative to a positive. Can't really say at this point. I did want to come to the US a few years ago. I was making plans, and obviously, things happen. I'd like to, I've always wanted to. So it would be a real shame if I never managed to do it. But at the moment, it's not looking likely. But you never know; things can change. So I don't want to jinx it. So I'm hoping to get over there as when I can. But at the moment, I'm just building up my business again here in London, the UK. But I do appreciate the support I get from the US. You guys have been great supporters of my work, and I've worked with quite a lot of clients that have come from the US to London to do my 6 weeks confidence program, weekend program, and also online. Many clients on Zoom, Skype from the US and Canada, and on all parts around the world. So I am grateful for the support. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I know I'd be pretty welcome over there. Like the hospitality that you guys show me is pretty second to none from the States. Right, guys, you know what? I think we'll call it today. I might go live again later on, do a different topic. I'm pretty much, well, I was bedbound for the last 4 days. I'm just recovering from the flu. I do feel a lot better. I'm glad I've done this stream. So I might go live in a bit, and we'll do another topic or something. We'll see. All right. Appreciate everyone for coming on. It was good today. It was thought provoking. It was challenging, fun. Hopefully you got a lot out of this. You got all the little bits and pieces to get over your social fears and be more social and confident. All right. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.